When we are dealing with an array, and again, I'm not talking about an array list, I'm talking about array, A-R-R-A-Y, the lowercase word array. Sometimes we need to know how many items or elements we have, or we need to count how many things are in the array. Now, when you are declaring an array like this, or in this manner, you have knowledge of the number of items. You know this is holding 10 integers. You know this is holding 9 strings. Java knows, and you can count to see that there are 9 strings here. You know this one is holding 5 doubles. You know this one is holding 10 arrays. But sometimes, like in the program where you're going to set up a game board where the user can set the values, whether they want a 3 by 3 or 4 by 6 or whatever, you as the programmer may not know the actual count, which we also call length, the actual count, the total number of items in that array. So when you need to write a for loop and you don't know for certain how many numbers are in this, I might use the scanner class and I might have a variable num prices, and I might be letting the user set that dynamically every time the program runs. I can put num prices in here when the person types in a 5 or a 3 or 100. I can put that in there just like that. But now what I have to do if I want to let them populate it, if I have to write a for loop, I don't know for certain how many elements, how many items they're going to enter. But I know that if that is 100, for example, I'm going from 0 to 99. So I can say, if num prices is, for example, 100, start at 0 and allow the person to enter information as long as the value in I, which is my index, is less than 100. And that will work because I'm going from 0 to 99. Some people like to do this. They say, well, I know I've got the highest index number, right? Remember I said if you have 100, you're going from 0 to 99. So if they've entered 100 or 1,000 or whatever, the last index number for the last item in that array is going to be the number that they've entered, 100 minus 1, or 99. Or if it's 1,000, it's going to be 999. Some people will do that. And they'll say cycle through loop as long as the value is less than or equal to that highest number minus 1. So some people will do it that way. So we can either say less than the total number of items in the array. That will always work. If you're one of the people who likes to do the less than equal, you've got to subtract 1 from num prices so that you don't go out of bounds on the array. Some people actually do that here. So I'm just showing you like 3 or 4 different ways you can set up your array. But the easiest thing to do, instead of doing all that, is to actually use the length property. I can say, Java, give me a count of how many items are in this array. So I can do the array name dot length. Notice there are no parentheses here or anything else, just array name dot length. And that will give me the total count. So if the person wanted 100 items and they use scanner to put 100 in num prices, this is going to give me back 100. Okay, so again, if I want to use that for my loop, I've got to say less than 100, so I go from 0 to 99. Some people will just put that right here. instead of doing an extra variable, they will do something like that. Okay, so there's at least 4 or 5 different ways you can write a loop when you have a dynamic array, one that you don't know the length of. And here's a nice little example online. Um, if we have an array that they've set up and they've done a string array, and notice that they don't have the 3 in parentheses because they've used the braces option to also create and initialize the array. Okay, you and I can count and see that there are 3 items in this array. But just to give you an example of how you can leverage off of that length, they've used the array name of toppings.length. They've stored that, because that comes back as an integer, they've stored that in a variable called array length, and now they're just using system.out.format. We would use system.out.print, and we might not use that %d, that's like a little formatting mask, but we would say system.out.print or print line, the array length is quote plus array length, and we would get a 3 printed out from that. So what they're telling you here is what I'm telling you, that you can use the array name .length when you don't know for certain, or if you just want to print out the length of the array, you can use that to do a nice little printout like this. And again, that's more for when you've let the user set the length and you don't know what it is. So, and let's just use this right now for one-dimensional arrays. We'll find out how it works with two-dimensional arrays. It's a little bit different, the information you get back. So for right now, when we're just dealing with a one-dimensional array, we can print out the length, as I said. Oops, sorry. Prices.length, I can do that. Or if I put it in a variable here, I can come down and do that. So it's important that you understand how to do that, because you're really going to need that for for loops, especially on the exam where they don't give you the number of items in the array. They give you a piece of code where they tell you they're going to let the user enter that via scanner, and then they're going to ask you to write a loop to go through all of them. You're going to have to understand that you do less than, not less than equal, because you will go out of bounds on the array. If this is holding 100, we cannot say less than equal 100, or we'll be going past the end of the array. Since we start with 0, we've always got to go less than the length.